The engineer is in a bit of a weird spot. Is he a support class? Is he a defense class? Is he both? Probably both. So this guy probably has the biggest range of people who play him. You can see people ranging from an amazing and helpful team player to a completely clueless gibbous vision building on last to a griefer who's just set out to ruin everybody's fun. So how do you tell the difference between them?
You could just watch how they act in game and then draw your own conclusions based off of that, like any normal person.
Nah, obviously you judge them based off the stereotypes that their weapons and hats have, duh. Okay, really though, stereotypes don't apply to everyone, they're exaggerated. That's the nature of a stereotype. So don't like go and apply that to somebody in an actual game. That's really dumb, don't do that, okay? This guy is a strong, independent engineer who don't need to rely on no gimmicks to be good at what he does. He doesn't need crits or some fancy schmancy ammo return mechanic. He doesn't need a healing bolt or a laser bolt or any kind of weird future-y shit. You just need a good old-fashioned shotgun and some faces to shoot it at. In all seriousness, you'll probably see this run by offensive engies, usually with the Jag or the Gunslinger, since the Rescue Ranger's kinda seen as the go-to for a defensive playstyle. That said, these engies will usually play more passively than those using other primaries, but we're gonna talk about that in a second. There are a couple of types of Frontier Justice engineers. The first one I like to call the bipolar turtle. At first he plays like, well, basically every engie on a capture the flag map. You set up a level 3 in the intel room or on last or whatever, it depends on what game mode you're in, and you rack up kills from that one scout who just runs straight into your sentry over and over, and he continues to do so like he's expecting something to change. Then when your sentry gets sapped or destroyed or whatever, you take your 50 billion crits and go full rage mode, relentlessly hunting down whoever it is that destroyed your sentry. These guys are usually newer players and they'll often overextend trying to kill the guy that blew their shit up. They're not too hard to deal with, honestly, because they kind of broadcast the fact that they have crits and run at you across an open area, so I don't know. The next kind of Frontier Justice engie we're gonna call the Fisherman, a master of baits. He's always the one who puts his sentries in just the dumbest spots. When you're playing with these guys, there's always gonna be just a random level 3 somewhere that has no business being there. It's a terrible sentry spot, and the engie isn't even by his sentry, and now that you know where it is, it's super easy to destroy it. But when you go back to destroy the sentry, surprise, the engie's there, and he has 2 crits stored from when his sentry got you earlier. These guys are usually pretty good at hiding the fact that they have crits stored up, since their entire playstyle revolves around baiting people into following them without knowing that they have crits. They're not usually very effective, but they're annoying as hell. And the last type of Frontier Justice engie is this guy. Yeah, I don't even have to give this guy a fancy name, do I? You know exactly who I'm talking about. This is the guy who will deliberately go out of his way to piss everyone off, including his teammates. His teleporter's almost always in weird spots that are designed to get you killed, and he almost always runs mini sentries. Not because they're a great offensive tool that allows the engie to be more mobile and independent, but because they make people mad. And he has to make people mad for his wacky, hilarious TF2 griefing montage, featuring that one royalty-free trumpet song. Yeah, you know which one I'm talking about. And to top it all off, he's gonna use the Frontier Justice, so he can get free crits for those random assists that he got across the map with his mini sentry. And when he's not griefing, he's probably deliberately queuing for high towers so that he can run mini sentries, focus people who seem to be having a good time, and just actively go about trying to ruin the fun for everyone. And if they're not doing either of those, they're probably circle jerking an RTF2 or something, I don't know. This is probably the closest thing to a war pig in the engineer's arsenal. For those unaware, a war pig is a reference to that hat for soldier, and it's used to refer to an item used by someone who overestimates how good they are at the game. The Widowmaker presents a huge risk-reward situation, and it's used by people who are confident enough with their own aim to justify that risk. So it's not all that surprising that Widowmaker engies usually think they're really good at the game. And granted, sometimes they are, but usually they aren't.
Attention everyone, an engineer main has entered the server. I repeat, a try-hard engineer main has entered the server.
Is what you'd expect to be hearing every time someone has the Rescue Ranger equipped, and you'd better expect that NG to be using it along with its 2 other counterparts every single time. Say it with me, the Wrangler and the Southern Hospitality. Nothing's better than the Highlander defense meta, right boys? Well, to be honest, while some of these guys using the Rescue Ranger actually do know what they're doing, it's safe to say that when you see someone using it, you shouldn't automatically be asking yourself, is that a pro NG? Because 95% of the time it's actually actually just some mediocre engineer player who uses it in place of his wrench the entire time that he's playing. Now, I'm not going to use the word crutch here because if I were to call the Rescue Ranger a crutch for bad engies, that would probably piss off my entire subscriber base. And believe me, if I had to use the most generalized word that I could think of to describe the Rescue Ranger, I would totally call it a crutch for bad engies. But I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'll just watch as they clumsily try to defend themselves from that single spy that casually places a sapper on their only line of defense.
This is almost exclusively used by new players since it's just straight up bad, man. There's no way around that. Except when you get crits and spam it at a group of people, and then it's okay. But in all seriousness, this is just one of the most universal stereotypes I've covered. It's really just new player. Using this weapon is the fastest way to let everyone know I can't aim my primary. Okay, let's be honest. It's a great backup for risky primaries like the Widowmaker or the Frontier Justice, and it's a nice source of consistent damage to go along with the Rescue Ranger. But it's a stereotype. That kind of implies that it isn't always accurate. Get it? Not always accurate, because it's the pistol? Anyone? This is the go-to weapon for most engineers who are worth their salt. There's really no way around this. It's just really freaking good. But despite this, these engies are probably running the Rescue Ranger, and they missed the old days before the Wrangler got nerfed. You know, the ones where you can make your sentry tank an ubered heavy at point blank? Yeah, I don't really miss that all that much. But then again, I'm not an engineer main, so This guy is just sick of everyone's shit. And honestly, that's not a huge reach, because the short circuit is a great counter to two of the most annoying things in this game, spam and spies. So if you run across this guy on the other team, tread lightly. Or, you know, just use hit scan, that works too, I guess. Well, this is another one of those stock weapons that is just really damn good and used very commonly by pretty much every type of player. But surprisingly, the Engineer's other melees are pretty decent side grades and they all have their uses. So I guess it's not as dominant as some other stock weapons, but even so, it's really hard to pin someone down based off of the stock wrench alone. So take a look at their other weapons to get an idea of what you're dealing with.
You see, Mr. Powers? Shh. I love gold!
This guy also tends to put his sentries in really dumb spots. Like, come on, what are you gonna do, destroy it? Yeah, okay, well now I've already got another level 3 waiting for you around this corner. Good luck with that. Honestly though, this is a really good side grade to the stock wrench, so you'll see this used pretty often on offense. But come on, man, why would you put his sentry there? It doesn't even make sense. This guy hates spies. Yeah, I mean, then again, so does everybody except for spy mains. And now that the Dead Ringer is getting nerfed, thank you! This is getting an indirect buff, so you might expect to see more of these after the Pyro update, assuming it doesn't get changed.
Nothing personnel, kid.
If you see the Eureka Effect on an engineer that isn't an oblivious new player, then you should probably start checking the various props on the map, because chances are one of them doesn't have a collision hitbox and it has a tele-exit hidden in it. Well, either that or he's just doing that thing in setup time where he builds stuff and teleports back to spawn and switches to a different wrench and yeah, whatever. Just check the props, dude. You'll thank me later. These guys tend to be more offensive than other engies, and there are two basic types. There's one that relies more on his primary and uses the mini as a tool to lock down an area and engage people in a favorable spot, and then there's the one who can't actually aim, so he just spams this and lets it do the aiming for him. But like I said earlier, this is a series about stereotypes, which do tend to be more extreme. So...
I have to ruin the fun for everyone!
That was actually really good, shit. This guy could be literally anyone. No, really, I'm using the proper form of literally in this case. This is the only weapon available for this slot. Like, I know it can technically be a strange, but it's still the same weapon, so literally everyone equips this. So, wait, why am I even talking about this? Meanwhile, in an alternate universe where Soundsmith didn't talk about the construction PDA... Oh my god, Soundsmith forgot the construction PDA. I'm gonna make a really angry comment that brings this up to show everybody how smart I am. Oh, I'm so cool. Oh, right. Well, that's all the weapons for Engineer. I'm gonna be doing Medic next, so let me know if you have any suggestions or things you'd like to see. Honestly, there are so few weapons for NG that it's not even worth it to try and pad the runtime, so I'm just gonna let you guys go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.